What's good, YouTube? It's your boy JrTheOota. Today, finna be reacting to 9-year-old escapes her dad's death coat. Avenges all victims. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor, smash that like button, sub up, follow my Twitch on the top left corner. We go live every single day. Let's get started.
Today, live in front of all Americans.
This is Jen Carson, living a carefree life like any other child.
Okay.
But in 1979, everything changed when her parents' marriage fell apart, and her father met a new woman, someone who would turn Jen's life into a nightmare.
You can fool your father, but I know you're the devil, and I'm going to get this demon out of you.
Jen's new stepmother and her father began heavily using psychedelic drugs. Over the years, they lost themselves in paranoia and delusion, convinced they had to hunt and kill witches.
They thought she could be the right hand of God.
Jen hoped her father would come to his senses and save her from this nightmare, but she was wrong.
The victims, at least 14 people, they claimed everyone they had killed were witches.
Yo, what the fuck? Y'all think y'all killing witches? Oh, y'all niggas is bitches. What is y'all doing? Stop the drugs, kids.
The couple labeled the San Francisco witch killer, saying they had a list of targeted celebrities and political figures, including President Ronald Reagan.
It was at that moment Jen realized that she had lost her father forever.
Evil doesn't create. Good is created, and evil is like a parasite or a leech.
Jen was trapped in their dark, delusional world, struggling to survive, living in constant fear.
This is a horrifying space for any child.
The daughter of the witch killers now has no choice but to find a way to escape and fight back to ensure her father and stepmother will not kill anybody else ever again.
This is insane, bro. That's insane, bro. Niggas go from regular to demon because of the drogas, because of the drugs. Don't do drugs. I'm not gonna lie, bro. That's crazy, gang.
June 12th, 1982, a
What
rescue
the
team is sent to
fuck?
search for a group of hikers who disappeared in the woods near Alder Point, California. But before reaching their destination, they came face to face with two strange figures in the forest.
They were looking for a missing hiker, and all of a sudden, these two crazy-looking individuals dressed in rags with ratty hair start running around in different directions, screaming. Then one of the individuals in the rescue crew noticed that the weirdos had dropped a backpack.
The rescue team couldn't understand why the pair suddenly fled. However, it all became terrifyingly clear when they opened the backpack they'd left behind.
There was a gun, fake IDs, and this manifesto called A Cry for War.
Whoa. So they basically got caught in the act. Because they definitely committed that murder, bro. There's no... All I gotta do is look at them and I know they did it. I know they did it, bro. Like, this nigga look insane. If he was my pops, I would have probably oofed him myself.
Calls for nuclear war, targeted bombings, political assassination.
There was detailed plans to kill witches, and they had a list of the witches.
At the bottom of the list, consisting mostly of celebrities and public figures, a name stood
Wow.
out from the rest: Ronald Wilson Reagan. Since the witch killers were already suspected of being serial killers, and their next target was the President of the United States, the Secret Service got involved. They discovered that one of their main suspects, Michael Baer, left behind his young daughter and ex-wife before the killings began.
So in 1982, Men in Black literally showed up at our door, and I overheard some of it. I knew that Daddy was in trouble.
Knowing that the information would soon be relayed to the public, Jen's mother took it upon herself to deliver the devastating news to her young daughter.
I was just 8 turning 9 at the time, and she said, I told you that your daddy was really sick, and she said unfortunately he got much worse, and he hurt people. I
Nah, that's wacky. Yo, what's the word, Mutt? What's the word? How you feeling?
immediately asked, are the hurt people dead? And she said yes.
Young
Yo,
Jen...
this video is about this daughter, like she trying to take down her pops. Her pops is like, nigga started doing drugs with some girl, and he like he thinking like girls is witches and shit, and like people is witches, and he trying to kill them and shit.
Struggled to process
Some
her
weird
mother's
shit.
words. She had so many fond memories of her father from before the divorce. However, she couldn't ignore that everything took a turn for the worse after her dad married a strange woman named Suzanne Barnes.
When I think about
That bitch
my
looking
relationship
insane,
with
gang.
my father, I very much see it as before Susan and after Susan.
Who was Susan?
Back in the 60s, Suzanne Barnes, the daughter of a newspaper executive, lived the life of a wealthy socialite until she grew tired of her idyllic situation and began a double life.
Suzanne lived a privileged life. Her husband was rich. She would be what you would call, in a current term, a cougar. She said she made love with 150 of her son's classmates. Just going...
Whoa! Suzanne, by the way, gang, is the killer's girlfriend now. But this is what she used to do. What the fuck? She used to be fucking with the minors? Nah, she's wild.
She said she made love with 150 of her
150
classmates. Just going through them one after another.
150?
At first, she kept her interest in underage boys a secret, but when she began taking psychedelic drugs with her many teenage lovers, Suzanne's history of mental illness resurfaced.
The first time she took LSD, she woke up in the morning and the house was painted with triangles.
Suzanne was having visual hallucinations. This is a very, very serious symptom of schizophrenia.
Oh, no.
The combination of mind-altering drugs and untreated mental illness proved to be a destructive mix, leading her husband to eventually discover her secret. He directly filed for divorce and gained custody of their 2 children. But
Bitch lost everything when she started doing the drugs, gang. She lost everything when she started doing drugs. This man was giving her everything. She literally had the money. She had all that. Fumbled the whole bag just for some drogas.
Suzanne didn't care. She knew she wouldn't stay single for long.
One night, my father goes to a party. It was at the home of a wealthy divorcee. And so my father met this woman that was, 10 years his senior. She said, from now on, you'll be known as Michael. She then stated that she was psychic. She could see the past and the future, and that she saw that they were lovers in a past life. My father had always been very interested in very radical religious beliefs, and those interests kind of became more and more extreme. It was like dropping through the rabbit hole.
The 2 immediately married and spent the entirety of Suzanne's life savings on hallucinogenic drugs. They then moved to California and turned their radical religious beliefs into a half-baked cult. Their first...
Spent the whole money on drugs? Oh, brother. I don't even know what to say, bro. It's like, people like this, it's like, they never experienced Jesus, nothing like that, bro. At all. Because these beliefs are not real.
Disciple was a 23-year-old woman named Karen Barnes, an up-and-coming actress from Georgia who had recently moved to Hollywood in the hopes of making it on the big screen.
She was kind of interested in that, kind of eclectic scene, and she was very much a bohemian girl.
When Suzanne and Michael came along and offered her their type of cult, she was fascinated by it.
From the outside, Michael and Suzanne's cult looked like any other hippie rambling of the era, but at its core reigned a dark idea. The couple was convinced that the world was actually ruled by witches. They believed that Suzanne, as the leader of the cult and their prophet, had the power to identify such witches, and that Michael, as her divine instrument, had to kill them.
Suzanne would have these visions, and she thought she was a witch. She thought she was going crazy. And Michael said, no, dear, you're not having delusions. You're a prophet.
He was under her spell. He was at her command to kill whenever she ordered him.
As a young adult who...
Wow. Probably before this, too, he never even touched a fly. He probably never even got into a fight at school. He never even probably slapboxed somebody, bro. And now does drugs. Now he's the biggest murderer ever. Also, this is what the coochie do. I know you ain't stop you ain't stop having sex. You feel me? So with that being said, you're a coochie whip, my nigga.
Just arrived in California, Karen Barnes was unlikely to know the extent of their delusions.
Living with people who are mentally ill and taking hallucinogenics is probably not the safest decision a person can make. They're probably a little bit paranoid. They think the world is dangerous. And with their grandiose ideas, it was up to them to clean up the world.
As it turns out, things escalated quickly for Karen. When Michael told Suzanne that he intended to take the 23-year-old as his second wife, she convinced him otherwise, with deadly consequences.
The trouble started when Michael became very attracted to this young disciple of theirs. Suzanne saw this as a threat, and she became incredibly jealous. Suzanne said, "We have to kill the witch. Michael, you have to kill Karen."
Immediately, Michael grabbed a knife and a frying pan from the kitchen. At his prophet's command, he attacked Karen while she was sleeping, stabbing and bludgeoning her face until she stopped moving.
No one should go through what she went through. She was a beautiful, delightful.
That's insane, bro. That's insane.
You put a knife in my back, bitch. So I did it right back, bitch. I had a whole lot of money.
Jod, thank you for the follow, my boy. Appreciate you. That's crazy though, bro. Just cause like she knew they was probably doing drugs, but she probably didn't know the extent of what was going on, bro. I'm not gonna lie though. If you move in with roommates and you hear them tweaking and doing, I'm not even, bro. I'm getting to know them before I even move in, gang. Excuse me, you're crazy if you think I'm finna be living with some niggas like that. I might turn them niggas into a pot.
23-year-old girl.
Rest in peace to her though, bro. That's
Following
sad.
Karen Barnes' murder, the witch killers ran away north to hide on an illegal farm near the small town of Alder Point.
In 1982, Michael and Susan had been involved in an illegal marijuana farm in the northern part of California.
Susan is cultivating the marijuana and my father is working security.
Jod, what's good, my boy? What's good, bro? How you feeling?
Into their stay at the farm, a man named Clark Stevens joined the workforce. Clark was an outspoken and assertive surfer from Southern California who wasn't afraid to stand up to Suzanne and Michael.
It starts out as a difference of opinion about how to properly manicure plants, but it quickly escalates. Susan feels
Feeling
Stevens
Gucci?
is disrespecting
Yes, sir, brother.
her.
In
That's
Suzanne
fire.
and Michael's invented religion, disrespecting the prophet is enough to label you a witch, a title carrying a death sentence.
These niggas is insane. I'm feeling great, bro. I'm blessed, thank God. But this video is basically about a daughter who's trying to take down her father and his girlfriend. Like, they started doing drugs and they think like anybody who disrespects them is a witch, so they gotta kill them basically. Like some crazy shit. Some crazy shit, bro. Like this surfer, they just say he started working for them and now he's a witch.
And
Like,
up to Suzanne and
insane, bro.
It starts out as a difference of opinion about how to properly manicure plants, but it quickly escalates. Susan feels Stevens is disrespecting
Susan
her.
is the
Suzanne
wife.
and Michael's invented religion.
Susan is the crazy wife, and Michael is a crazy nigga.
Disrespecting
Shit's
the prophet
crazy.
is enough to label you a witch, a title carrying a death sentence.
Some sort of argument occurred, and she realized that Clark Stevens was a witch, and he had to be killed. So she ordered
Both
Michael
is
to
insane.
kill him.
We're too broke.
Michael feared witchcraft. He saw witchcraft everywhere.
Without hesitation, Michael shot Clark Stevens in the head. He then proceeded to drench his body in gasoline, set it on fire, and buried what remained of him under the farm's manure supply.
Sometime later, there were some campers in the woods who their dog appeared to be playing with an object. And tragically, the dog was playing with the head of Clark Stevens.
Huh? Whoa! Playing with the nigga. Nah, bro. These niggas gotta burn under the ground, gang. These niggas gotta burn under the ground. These niggas is crazy.
The witch killers kept working on the farm for a few days as if
what?
nothing had happened. Since they were operating under false names, they knew the police couldn't locate them, even after finding the body.
When the police searched for suspects under the name Susan and Michael, they came up empty because that was a false name.
But all of this changed after the rescue team discovered the witch killer's manifesto. Although they had no proof, the police and the Secret Service were finally starting to put the puzzle together. The murders of Karen Barnes, Clark Stevens, and 11 other individuals.
You said why they killed him? Bro, they just think anybody who disrespects them is a witch. On some crazy shit. Like, anybody who, like, disagrees. Like, me and you can have a disagreement, and they'll think you're a witch type shit. Like, it's a couple, and they just, I don't know, bro. They sick.
Fit the MO of Suzanne and Michael, the manifesto itself mentioned some of the victims by name. Fearing for her daughter's life, Jen's mother took her into hiding and severed all contact with Michael and Suzanne.
Excuse me.
As Jen packed up, she reminisced about the time she had to live with her father and Suzanne, following her parents' divorce.
The first time I recall...
Look, this is what he looked like at first. Nigga look normal, gang. That nigga grew out his hair. He started looking crazy.
Going to Susan's house, it was absolutely terrifying. So we got to the house and it was night. They opened the door and there was a bunch of potted trees. In my mind, it looks similar to the forest from The Wizard of Oz. And so here I am, a young child, and I'm walking into this dark, like, haunted forest with a woman who, to me, looked like a Disney villain.
Alone in Suzanne's house, young Jen is left to fend for herself while her supposed caretakers are lost in a drug-fueled fantasy world.
She's making strange concoctions of food with barley and marijuana and LSD. And I remember attempting...
Nah, bro. She's taking drugs. She's taking drugs, so she thinks that other people are witches, and she has to... So she tells her husband to kill the people. You feel me? She thinks that other people are witches because both of them are taking drugs. You feel me? And they got their own little cult, or they just believe in their own shit. You feel me? Like, just some weird shit.
To find
it's like in the 1970s or 80s.
Passed out naked, and I remember attempting to escape from the home, picking up a corded telephone. I dialed 0 and saying to the telephone operator, "I want mommy."
With her father under the influence of Suzanne's hallucinogenic food, there wasn't anyone to protect the little girl from her sadistic stepmother. She was convinced Jen was either a witch or a demon, and abused her both physically and mentally in an attempt to, as she put it, exorcise her.
She did horrifically abuse me. I have had lifelong flashes of her dunking me underwater, and there was an incident where she scratched open my back, and there were 5 nail marks that looked like a werewolf had come at me. But more frightening to me than the injury was what she was saying. You know, you can fool your father, but I know you're the devil, and I'm going to get this demon out of you.
When Jen's mother
Nah, bro. Nah. First of all, why is this kid even living with this nigga, gang? Why is this kid even living with this nigga? This nigga's losing his mind.
Discovered how her daughter was being mistreated, she disregarded the court order that kept Jen with her father and took her away. For 3 years, they stayed hidden. But with the return of the witch killers to Los Angeles, Jen's mother knew that trouble would follow.
At this point, she was absolutely convinced that they would kidnap me. They called my mom and they said, "We're picking up Jenny." And they said, "We're going to be there in an hour."
Unaware that Secret Service agents are hot on their trail, the witch killers hit the road to return to the city, less than 30 miles from where Jen and her mother were hiding. Hitchhiking along the way, they were picked up by a friendly man named John Hellier.
They were in a truck where there was just the single bucket seat. 2 people ride comfortably in a pickup truck, but 3 it's tight. And according to Michael and Susan, John's leg was touching Susan's leg.
In the witch killer's religion, if insulting the prophet gets you a death sentence, touching her might as well end up in public execution.
And she decides that Hillier is a witch. and that he needs to die.
Michael instantly grabbed his gun and aimed it at John. But, for the first time, the person they marked for death had a chance to fight back.
The truck came to a stop, and witnesses observed a scuffle between Michael Carson and John Hellier.
Yo, touching is a sin in their religion, gang. These niggas is insane, and this not even a religion. It's just their own dumbass belief, their own dumbass brain. They don't have a brain. Finally, somebody fought back, though. I hope that nigga take that shit and blow his ass down with it.
Eventually, Michael Carson gained control of a pistol.
Hillier grabs the gun, and now they're fighting over the pistol. Suzanne screaming, "Kill him, kill him, kill him."
After struggling for the gun for over 10 minutes, John seemed to get the upper hand on Michael, but Suzanne produced a knife and started violently stabbing him. Bleeding and in pain, the 30-year-old let go of the gun long enough for Michael to push him back. He then shot John in the head twice, while Suzanne held him to his knees. Surrounded by dozens of terrified onlookers, gasping for air and covered in blood, the witch killers immediately escaped the scene.
Michael and Susan get back into the truck and they drive off. The police eventually spot their truck. There's a high-speed chase.
It seals their fate, basically. There's no question that they are traveling murderers.
After crashing into a ditch and exchanging gunfire with the police, the couple attempted to run away on foot. Police tracked them up to a river where Suzanne and Michael were finally arrested. Detective Frank Falzone already suspected the crazed hippies of the murders of Karen Barnes and Clark Stevens, but at this time, he had no idea what their true identities were.
My partner and I immediately went to Sonoma County to interview the Carsons. Susan says, "No way. You want a statement from us? We want the big city news to be here. We want to be filmed, and we want it in the newspaper."
You hear this shit? They're acting like this shit is a trophy. They act like they just won a trophy at the AAU game, gang. Niggas act like they just won a championship for their high school team. What do you mean you want the cameras to be here, my guy? Niggas want all the public attention they can get, like... Doing this for public attention is crazy.
I can arrange that. They wanted the world to know their insane, ludicrous religion, their beliefs. They thought they could end up with a flock of disciples and that she could be the right hand of God.
Yeah, she's... Niggas is
Before
insane.
the trial even began, the witch killers requested that the police hold a massive press conference. In exchange for national television coverage, they agreed to divulge two more of their victims, Karen Barnes and Clark Stevens. When the press conference aired, Jen learned more than she was prepared to handle at 9 years old.
Speak the truth. Evil doesn't create. Good is creative, and evil is like a parasite or a leech that it can't create, but it can only copy. That's why powerful evil people are always attracted to Suzanne.
I know that voice, but those things he's saying are just so bizarre and disturbing.
With the trial being on everyone's lips, it was hard for young Jen to ignore what was happening. She learned that, although the number of victims was estimated to be over 14, the court chose to only press charges on the 3 murders they both admitted to. During the hearings, the witch killers put mystics, fortune tellers, and spiritual healers on the bench, giving the procedure a strange aura of new age quackery.
The Carsons ramble and rant about all sorts of things, from 1984 and George Orwell to Ronald Reagan being the devil to why witches need to be killed.
In their defense, they were stating that they only became violent in self-defense because they had been attacked psychically by these individuals. Suzanne got up and screamed, "What is my crime? To be beautiful, to be an artist?" It was a zoo.
But the veil of mysticism was quickly lifted once the coroner entered the courtroom. From the pictures of...
Yeah, they definitely gotta get death sentence, I'm not gonna lie. Or don't even give him death sentence, gang. I'll just say give him life in prison. Death sentence make him die too easy, gang. They need to die slowly. They need to die slowly. They need to have niggas beating on them. Beating the shit out of them for 50 years of their life.
Karen Barnes' face to the terrifying testimonies of the dozens of people who witnessed John Hellier's murder, the entire state of California was left speechless.
The couple, labeled the San Francisco Witch Killers, Michael Bear Carson and his second wife Susan, smiling as the camera rolled. Daughter Jen calls him evil. They were later convicted of 3 murders and sentenced to 75 years to life in prison.
9-year-old Jen felt betrayed and overwhelmed, suddenly realizing the danger she'd been in during the past few years.
When I realized that the hands that changed my diapers killed these people, I thought, if Daddy could kill, anyone could kill. I became very frightened.
That's crazy.
I started sleeping with knives and scissors under my pillow.
With the witch killers finally behind bars, Jen's mother turned the page in relief, but her young daughter still had a major concern. If her father...
I ain't gonna lie, this bitch smiling. Yeah, she's smiling and shit, bro. I'm not gonna lie, if I'm the reporter, I'm... Woo-wee! Fuck is you smiling at, boy?
Do such terrible things. What might she be capable of?
I went into really, really severe depression. It completely changed who I was, how I thought about myself, that eventually I would hurt someone. Maybe I would kill someone. I remember thinking, I have monster DNA.
Oh,
and you still loved him. And I still loved him. Yeah.
I want to
But
hear
Jen's
this nigga
unconditional
talk.
love slowly faded away, especially after her father started sending her disturbing letters from jail.
That kind of freaked me out. I know that the hand that's writing these letters had bludgeoned and decapitated people. It was just so disturbing to me.
Believing his evil had taken hold of her, leaving her broken and helpless, she felt forced to play along when others around her lied about her past.
It was so vital for me to keep this a secret. I had a long-term boyfriend who took me home to meet his parents on Thanksgiving, and as we're walking up to their door, he says, "I hope you don't mind. I told them that your father died in a car accident."
Even as an adult, depression and chronic nightmares can...
I told him that I'm not gonna lie though. I'm gonna keep it a buck. If you would have told them that your dad killed 14 people, they would have looked at you different for sure. If you told them your pops killed 14 people, King, I don't think they want you talking to their son. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Jen's personal and professional life. After almost falling asleep in the middle of a class she was teaching, she finally had enough and decided to take back control of her life.
I can't do this anymore. I have to do something. I made the decision to go see him in person.
Visualizing her encounter with Michael as a scene from a movie, Jen thought she would be protected behind glass and talking to her father through a mounted receiver. Little did she know, none of this would happen as she had imagined.
And so this sliding door opened, and I'm in this open room. There's no glass, there's no receivers, and my father is hugging me. I'm just shocked and I'm stunned, and I just am just frozen like a statue.
For over 3 agonizing hours, Michael rambled about his obsession with witches. At this point, the witch killer had been incarcerated for almost 15 years, and Jen suddenly realized that, for her father, it was almost as if not a day had passed. She eventually stopped him dead in his tracks and asked him about the murders.
She's looking for the truth. She's looking for answers. She's looking for something that will enable her to close that chapter in her life.
Damn.
Some explanation, some remorse, something, some truth. He doesn't give this to her.
On the contrary, Jen finally realized that the answers had been within her all along. She might have known James Carson her whole life, but now, for the first time, she met Michael Bear, the witch killer. She could stand up to him if she chose to. He no longer had power over her.
I think what she's recognized as she's got older and integrated those experiences is that the dad that she remembers as a child actually never really existed.
You know, that's Michael Bear Carson, and he is a pathetic creature, and he's like a rat in a cage. She's going to die in that prison.
Jen was finally free of her father's influence.
Damn, that's sad, bro. I'm not gonna lie, she thought it is a whole life trauma for sure. I'm not gonna lie, she thought that visiting him was gonna that it was gonna, like, you know, like he was gonna have some type of remorse or something, gang. It's been, she said it was 15 years since then. That nigga was still on the same shit. Talking about witches, blase, blase. Like, I'm not gonna lie, if that was me, the first word First thing he would have said, which this, which that. I'm out of there. Out of there. I would have probably never even visited that nigga, gang. 14 murders, like. I don't know you.
Due to prison system reforms, Michael and Suzanne's sentence of 75 years to life was overturned. Instead, from 2014 onward, the witch killers could be eligible for parole every 5 years.
You absolutely can't have rehabilitation when there is absolutely no remorse. And so I chose to pursue fighting his parole.
Jen's newfound freedom was short-lived. With Michael and Suzanne up for parole, she now faced a new battle, keeping them behind bars.
Tomorrow, Michael Carson will have a parole hearing.
Michael Carson's daughter lives...
Niggas is ugly. Like, look at this nigga, bro.
In Riverside. She will speak out against his release. In fact, she told me he's a predator who will kill again.
Nah, I'm not gonna lie. Low-key W to her, bro. She's fighting to keep both of them in jail. She's fighting to keep both of their ass in jail. And I know they've been going through it. They look like they've been going through it.
And was shocked to learn she had been the only person asked to testify at the hearing, determined to not only stop her father, but also to ensure that the victims were properly represented. She sought out the families of John Hellier, Clark Stevens, and Karen Barnes.
Why do you want to meet the family members of the people your father killed?
I found out that the parole board had not notified the Hillier family, nor had made any attempt to find them. And so that's when I sent them a message, because they have a right to know. And of course, I wanted to tell you I'm so sorry you lost your brother and you lost him so violently, and that you don't have him here with you.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Jen spent years hoping that she could undo all of the horrors her father brought into the world. She thought this was her chance, but each of the family members of her father's victims told her the same thing. It wasn't your fault.
In the past, I was trying to atone for my father's crimes.
Brave woman for
and now
sure.
I know I cannot bring back his victims. I can't pay this debt. It's not my debt. I remain the daughter of a serial killer, but I no longer believe I'm the bad seed. I no longer hide. I no longer keep it a secret. There is a almost contentment or peace that I found that I can find something good.
But what you mean he's innocent, gang? He killed 14 people. How is he innocent? How?
Comes from this horrific experience.
I began a petition campaign and a media campaign against their parole. You know, Karen Barnes' family, Clark Stevens' family, John Hellier's family. These are incredibly good, kind people.
Together, the Helliers, Stevens, and Barnes testified at the parole hearing, spearheaded by Jen's own account of her father's horrific crimes. And, against all odds,
that nigga.
They finally won. Jen will never again exist in her father's shadow. She is free now, no longer burdened with the guilt of a violent past that was never hers to carry. Today, Jen uses her own experience to shine a light on mental illness and trauma. She's now a doctor of social work specializing in helping children of violent criminals. No matter your background and what might have happened to you, she is convinced there is always a way out of the dark.
Facts. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Complex grief,
This
depression,
is crazy.
school failure, substance abuse, and you know what? I'm really open.
Look at Flight, man. So
I have a
inspirational.
mental illness, everybody. Is that
Nah,
scaring you?
I'm trolling. I'm trolling. But man, rest in peace and prayers. Rest in peace to everybody who lost their life in this video, man. Prayers to all of the families. Prayers to all of the families. Prayers to all of the families. But you too, man. If you like this video, do me a favor, smash that like button, sub up, follow my Twitch. We go live every single day. Appreciate y'all for watching, man. I'm out of here.